Some of the most dangerous plants in America aren't growing in the wild. They're growing in our backyards. They crack foundations, choke out native plants, destroy property values, and spread faster than most homeowners can control. Before summer hits, here are the 10 plants every American gardener should avoid at all costs. Number 10. English ivy. That charming ivy climbing your neighbor's brick wall isn't the romantic garden feature it appears to be. English ivy starts innocent enough, but this green climber has a hidden agenda that unfolds slowly over the years. Those tiny rootlets aren't just holding on, they're working their way into your mortar joints, gradually loosening bricks and creating entry points for moisture. Once water gets behind your siding, you're looking at rot, mold, and expensive repairs that most insurance policies won't cover. The real problem starts when you try to remove it. English ivy doesn't give up easily, and those roots go deeper than you'd expect. Every piece you leave behind will regrow, turning removal into a multi-year project. Professional landscapers know this, which is why they charge premium rates for ivy removal. One homeowner in Virginia spent 3 seasons fighting ivy that had covered his entire back wall, only to discover it had damaged the mortar so badly that he needed to repoint the entire foundation. The ivy removal and masonry work cost him more than a new roof. What seemed like a simple landscaping project turned into a major home renovation. But that was nothing compared to number 9. Number 9, bamboo. Every American man dreams of the perfect privacy screen, something that grows fast, looks good, and keeps the neighbors from peering into your backyard barbecues. The problem is that running bamboo doesn't understand property lines. Those underground rhizomes spread in every direction, and they're surprisingly strong. Strong enough to crack driveways, push through foundation walls, and pop up in places you never planted them. The legal headaches start when your bamboo decides to visit the neighbors. Property line disputes over bamboo are becoming increasingly common, and they're expensive to resolve. Your homeowner's insurance typically won't cover bamboo's damage because it's considered a maintenance issue, not an accident. Professional bamboo removal requires heavy equipment and multiple treatments over several years. The process involves cutting, treating stumps, and installing root barriers, work that can easily cost more than a new car. One family in Oregon discovered their bamboo had spread under their entire driveway, causing it to buckle. The removal and driveway replacement took 2 years and cost them their vacation fund. The bamboo had traveled over 30 feet from where they originally planted it, emerging in 3 different neighbors' yards. If you think bamboo is destructive, wait until you meet number 8. Number 8, mint. This seems ridiculous, right? How could something as innocent as mint, the herb your grandmother grew for her famous iced tea, possibly be dangerous? But mint is the ultimate garden con artist, and it's fooled more American gardeners than any other plant. That small pot of peppermint you planted by your kitchen window has underground runners that spread faster than you'd believe. Within a few seasons, mint can take over entire flower beds, choke out expensive perennials, and even crack through concrete walkways with surprising persistence. The economic damage adds up quietly but steadily. Mint will gradually kill sections of your lawn, forcing you to re-sod areas year after year. It destroys carefully planned flower beds and vegetable gardens, overwhelming slower-growing plants. Professional landscapers charge extra for mint removal because they know it requires multiple treatments and often soil replacement. What started as a simple herb purchase can turn into an ongoing landscape maintenance nightmare. One Michigan homeowner planted mint in a small herb garden near his patio. Within 5 years, it had spread throughout his backyard, killed his prize-winning roses, and emerged in his neighbor's vegetable garden. The mint had traveled underground for over 40 feet, and removing it required excavating and replacing soil in multiple areas. The restoration project took 3 seasons and cost him several $1,000s. This next one is banned in half the country. Number 7, Japanese knotweed. If you see this plant anywhere near your property, don't try to handle it yourself. Japanese knotweed looks harmless enough, tall, leafy, and almost attractive in late summer when it flowers. But this Asian import has earned its reputation as one of the most destructive invasive plants in America. The root system grows deep and spreads wide, with enough force to damage foundations, septic systems, and underground utilities. The plant is so aggressive that it can push through asphalt and concrete, creating expensive repair problems for homeowners. The financial impact is serious and long-lasting. Properties with established knotweed infestations often lose significant value, and some mortgage companies now require inspections in affected areas. Professional removal is expensive and time-consuming, requiring specialized equipment and multiple treatments over several years. The plant is so persistent that even tiny root fragments can regrow into full colonies. In some Northeast communities, entire neighborhoods have been affected, with property values declining as the plant spreads from yard to yard. One Pennsylvania homeowner discovered knotweed growing near his foundation and ignored it for 2 years. By the time he called professionals, the roots had damaged his basement wall and septic system. The removal and repairs cost him more than a new kitchen, and the process took 3 years to complete. But even that pales in comparison to number 6. Number 6, tree of heaven. Don't let the heavenly name fool you. This fast-growing tree has become a serious problem across America. Tree of heaven looks like any other shade tree, which is exactly why homeowners often welcome it into their yards without realizing what they're getting. But this Asian import has some nasty habits that become apparent over time. The roots release chemicals that kill nearby plants, gradually turning lush landscapes into barren areas. Those same roots are strong enough to damage foundations, driveways, and underground utilities as they spread. The tree reproduces aggressively, with a single specimen spawning dozens of offspring across your property. Each tree you cut down sends up multiple new shoots, making removal an ongoing battle. Many states now require reporting and professional removal because the tree serves as a breeding ground for spotted lanternflies, an invasive pest that's causing serious damage to fruit trees and forests. The removal process is expensive and must be done correctly to prevent regrowth. One Ohio family planted tree of heaven for quick shade and privacy. Within a decade, they had over 50 trees scattered across their property, and the original tree had damaged their driveway and killed most of their landscaping. Professional removal took 2 years and cost them their home improvement budget, but they had no choice. The state had classified their property as a spotted lanternfly breeding site. If you think that's bad, number 5 will shock you. Number 5, Multiflora rose. Your grandfather might have planted this thorny shrub as a living fence to contain livestock, but Multiflora rose has revealed its true nature over the decades. What starts as an attractive hedge with sweet-smelling flowers gradually becomes an impenetrable thicket that can take over large areas. The canes grow long and create dense barriers that are difficult for humans or animals to penetrate. The thorns are sharp enough to puncture equipment tires and tear through clothing, making affected areas of your property essentially inaccessible. The economic impact comes from lost land use and expensive removal costs. Multiflora rose destroys pasture land and crowds out native plants that wildlife depends on. Professional removal requires heavy machinery and careful planning. Because the thorny growth makes access difficult. The plant spreads through bird-dispersed seeds, so new colonies can appear anywhere on your property. Farmers have reported losing significant acreage to Multiflora rows, with some forced to abandon sections of their land because removal costs exceeded the property's value. One Kentucky farmer discovered Multiflora rows had taken over nearly 10 acres of his pasture. The thorny maize was so dense that cattle couldn't graze there, and the removal project required specialized equipment and took an entire summer. The cost of professional removal and land restoration exceeded what he would have earned from that pasture in 5 years. This next plant has destroyed more American farmland than you'd believe. Number 4. Kudzu. In the South, they call it the vine that ate the South, and that reputation is well earned. Kudzu grows incredibly fast during peak season, and it has one goal: covering everything in its path. This aggressive vine will smother trees, collapse outbuildings under its weight, and turn productive land into green wastelands. The vines are strong enough to pull down power lines and damage structures, while their weight can cause serious damage to roofs and gutters. The financial impact is substantial and long-lasting. Kudzu can make large areas of land completely unusable, effectively reducing your property's value and productivity. Banks are reluctant to approve mortgages on kudzu-infested properties, and insurance companies consider it a significant risk factor. Professional removal requires specialized equipment and ongoing maintenance because the plant regrows from extensive root systems. The process can take years and cost more than most homeowners expect. Some areas of the South have been so thoroughly invaded that entire landscapes have been transformed. One Georgia landowner inherited property that had been abandoned for years. What had once been productive farmland was now covered in kudzu that had grown over barns, fences, and even large trees. The removal project took 3 years and required bringing in heavy equipment to clear the vines and repair the damaged structures underneath. But number 3 is actually illegal to grow in most states. Number 3, giant hogweed. This plant doesn't just damage property, it can seriously injure you and your family. Giant hogweed is an impressive plant, towering high with massive white flower heads that look almost prehistoric. Its exotic appearance is exactly why Victorian gardeners imported it as a showpiece. But the clear sap contains chemicals that cause severe burns when exposed to sunlight. Even brushing against the plant can result in painful blisters and permanent scarring. Children are especially vulnerable because they're naturally curious about the plant's unusual size. The legal and financial consequences are serious. Most states have made it illegal to plant, sell, or transport giant hogweed, with substantial fines for violations. If someone is injured by giant hogweed on your property, you face significant liability issues. Professional removal requires protective equipment and specialized training, making it one of the most expensive plant removal jobs available. Even after removal, the area remains potentially dangerous until new vegetation establishes. Emergency rooms have treated numerous hogweed victims, with injuries ranging from severe burns to temporary blindness. One New York family faced a substantial lawsuit when a neighbor's child was burned by hogweed growing along their property line. The legal fees and settlement, combined with professional removal costs, turned their landscaping problem into a major financial crisis. Number 2 has fooled more gardeners than any other plant. Number 2, purple loosestrife. This beautiful purple wildflower looks like it belongs in every American meadow and pond garden. The tall spikes of brilliant purple blooms are genuinely stunning, which is why gardeners have been planting it for generations without realizing the consequences. Purple loosestrife doesn't just compete with native plants, it gradually eliminates them. A single plant produces enormous numbers of seeds, and it forms dense stands that crowd out native species over time. This process destroys the food sources that waterfowl, fish, and other wildlife depend on. The economic impact on waterfront property can be severe. Purple loosestrife will gradually take over wetland areas, making them less attractive and reducing property values. It can clog irrigation systems, destroy fishing areas, and create stagnant water conditions that breed mosquitoes. Professional removal requires ongoing treatments over multiple years, and success isn't guaranteed because seeds remain viable in the soil for extended periods. Lake communities have watched their pristine waterfront areas transform into purple monocultures that offer little value to wildlife or recreation. One Minnesota Lake Association spent years fighting purple loosestrife that had gradually taken over their shoreline. The plant had eliminated the native vegetation that provided fish habitat and waterfowl nesting areas. The multi-year removal project required coordinated efforts from multiple property owners and cost the community tens of thousands of dollars. And the number one plant you should never grow will absolutely shock you. Number 1. Castor bean. This might be the most beautiful plant on this entire list, which makes it the most dangerous for families. Castor bean plants look like tropical showpieces, dramatic star-shaped leaves, and striking red seed pods that add exotic flair to any garden. Your great-grandmother might have grown them as ornamental features, not knowing about the serious risks. Those attractive speckled seeds contain ricin, one of nature's most potent toxins. Just a few seeds can cause serious poisoning, and children are naturally attracted to their colorful, bean-like appearance. The liability issues are genuinely frightening for any homeowner. If a child is poisoned by castor beans on your property, you face both criminal charges and civil lawsuits that can destroy your financial future. Even growing these plants can raise legal questions in some areas. The seeds are classified as dangerous materials, and large quantities can trigger law enforcement attention. Many insurance policies specifically exclude coverage for injuries caused by known toxic plants. The risk simply isn't worth any ornamental value the plants might provide. One California family grew castor beans as decorative plants in their front yard for several years without incident. When neighborhood children were hospitalized after eating the seeds, the family faced both criminal charges and a civil lawsuit that forced them to sell their home. The legal costs and settlement exceeded their homeowners' insurance coverage, and they learned too late that their policy excluded coverage for toxic plant injuries. These 10 plants prove that not everything sold at garden centers belongs in American backyards. From property-destroying invasives to liability nightmares, each one represents a costly mistake that thousands of gardeners have learned the hard way. Hit that subscribe button for more gardening wisdom that can save your property and your wallet, and check out the next video on your screen about the forgotten vegetables your great-grandparents grew that you need to plant today.